Since you were a child, you have undoubtedly experienced the knot in your stomach that occurs when something doesn't feel right but everyone else seems to be okay with it. Do you recall those times in school when you brought up a point in class and everyone looked at you as if you were crazy? A Sigma personality means that your mind naturally seeks deeper understanding, even when it makes others uncomfortable. As the years went by, you faced greater challenges, such as pressure to follow trends that didn't make sense, laugh at jokes that weren't funny, and care about things that felt pointless. Your Sigma nature likely resisted these pressures, and the struggle started. Then adult life hit, including office politics, fake friendships, social games that seemed more appropriate for high school than adults, and fake friendships. Since Sigma guys are a unique breed and not everyone understands them, even while others played along, you couldn't help but feel alienated. According to Dr. Hammer, this is known as cognitive independence, which occurs when your mind naturally rejects groupthink and relies on your own judgment. For people with a Sigma personality, this isn't a choice, rather, it's a result of the way their brains are wired. They process reality differently, so that after years of feeling like you were crazy for seeing what others ignored, it finally makes sense that you're playing a different game than everyone else. Your Sigma personality isn't a flaw. Rather, it's a filter that removes life's pretenses, revealing to you what others are afraid to see. Let's examine the 7 unexpected stages that every Sigma male experiences in life, and why, once you see them, you'll never look at your journey in the same way again. You've always felt a little out of place, but one day it dawns on you that you're simply not wired the same as everyone else. This is the wake-up call that makes you stop trying to fit in and begin to wonder why you've never quite fit in with the typical alpha or beta categories. This insight signals the start of your path. You stop looking for validation and begin looking for genuineness. When this realization dawns on you, you begin to see your history in a new way. It's a subtle but significant change. The natural tendency to question things that others blindly follow, the times you couldn't take things at face value, the times you saw through people's masks but remained silent. These are the moments when your Sigma traits start to make sense. The goal of awakening is not to feel superior to others, but rather to finally see why certain things have never felt right, why going along with the pack left you feeling empty, and why superficial relationships never satisfied your need for depth. The relief hits you first. You're not broken, just different, followed by a stronger feeling. You don't need to apologize for the way your mind works, your tendency to question, observe, and seek deeper meaning. These aren't flaws to fix. They're fundamental traits of your Sigma personality wired into how you process the world. This realization changes everything, but not in a loud and dramatic way. It's more like putting on glasses for the first time, and all of a sudden the world comes into focus, and you recognize why you've always felt like you were playing a different game than everyone else. The most intriguing part is that this isn't the end of your story, it's just the beginning. Once you accept your Sigma nature, every step forward feels more authentic and real because you're no longer working on someone else's path. You're starting to defy social conventions and expectations and forging your own number 2, the silent rebellion, by separating from the pack. The crowd is distracting you from who you really are, so you start to pull back, focus inward, and pursue what truly interests you, no matter how unconventional it may seem. While others are preoccupied with status, materialism, or fitting in, you're beginning to embrace solitude. This isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. Your Sigma personality is just beginning to show more clearly, and you've seen how others follow trends and things that aren't actually important. Nothing in you shouts, no famous psychologist, and social media affirmation is only meaningless status symbols. According to Carl Jung, individuation is the organic process of being oneself. For Sigma men, this often entails separating oneself from the ceaseless seeking outside approval causes you to start making decisions that others don't understand. For example, you can decide to invest in your own development or forego the popular hangouts in favor of a peaceful evening spent exploring your hobbies. When you withdraw from the influence of the herd, your thinking gets clearer. It's like turning down background noise you weren't even aware existed. While others engage in maintaining appearances, these aren't deliberate actions, they simply seem natural. One essential quality of Sigma personalities is clarity. The capacity to think for oneself. Once you are not subjected to societal pressure, you are becoming genuine, and number 3 is the solitude shock. While some may interpret this as rebellion, You know that you're not rebelling against anything. Rather, you're just embracing who you've always been. At first, being by yourself feels a little odd, but eventually, something amazing occurs, and you begin to value your own company. You discover tranquility in the quiet moments and start to understand that solitude isn't loneliness but freedom. The more time you spend by yourself, the more you learn about yourself and become your own best friend. What others perceive as loneliness you begin to understand as clarity. Being a Sigma means your mind naturally craves these quiet areas are not meant for hiding but rather for thinking, growing, and letting your genuine ideas surface above the incessant din of social engagement. Dr. Elaine Aron speaks about deep processors, or those who need to be alone to absorb their events completely. For Sigma males, this alone time is not just preferred, it's necessary for mental clarity, and you learn something intriguing. Rather than being empty, the quiet moments are packed with wisdom. While some find silence unsettling, you find that it is stimulating and that your mind functions better without the continuous pressure to perform. Refers to this as the power of quiet, when being alone really strengthens you. When you see that many people fear spending time alone with their ideas, you realize that for a Sigma, these times of isolation become invaluable. Not because you're antisocial, but because you've realized something that many miss. Your inner power often blossoms in quiet moments. This isn't about avoiding others, rather, it's about discovering your own rhythm in solitude. You're not alone. You're in wonderful company. Fourth place, the unexpected pressure of being judged by others comes as you start to embrace your uniqueness and notice the criticism from friends, family, and coworkers. The world wants you to fit in, but they don't get why you don't pursue the same goals as everyone else or why you need space or prefer to be silent. You feel both the weight of their demands and your own inner power. As you grow up, you realize that their views do not define your value. Why are you so quiet? Why don't you join us more frequently? Don't you want to be typical for Sigma males? These aren't simply obnoxious questions. They are pressure points meant to cause you to question yourself. It is tempting to justify yourself, but you come to the realization that you don't have to in order to be true to yourself. Robert Hard Ward observes how nonconformity is often mistaken for disobedience by society, yet being a Sigma is about keeping loyal to your actual self rather than breaking any rules. Although others see your independence as a weakness that needs to be addressed, you are beginning to see it as your greatest asset. Sometimes the pressure is in the form of subtly suggesting that you should blend in better, and other times it is outright condemnation of your decisions. Sigma men have a special problem where others strive to modify them more the more real they become, yet something unexpected occurs during this stage. Every condemnation, critique, and effort to force you to comply simply makes you more determined. Your inner compass becomes more powerful, and you begin to value your gut more than other people's views. When society expects you to be someone else, this is about being loyal to who you are, not about proving anybody incorrect. Not in spite of the strain, but because of it, your calm strength increases. The fifth number is the epiphany that your peaceful confidence has the power when others are constantly fighting for attention. You're just existing in your authenticity, and people are drawn to you. Your power isn't in what you say, but in who you are and what you stand for. You've discovered the real secret to influence, and it's the calm, unwavering energy you carry with you. Ancient philosopher Laus once said that the softest things in the universe overcome the hardest things for a Sigma. Your power originates from something more than controlling discussions or grabbing attention. You see how others respond differently to your presence. This reality comes to you organically. While others struggle to be heard, your poised remarks are more significant. Being a Sigma indicates that you have acquired a unique skill, the capacity to influence without making an effort. This silent force, which doesn't need to be spoken, is what Jordan Peterson refers to as gravity. It doesn't create noise, but it shapes everything around it. That's how your confident confidence works now. You don't push. You just exist in your truth and observe how people lean in when you speak, not because you're loud, but because you only speak when you have something important to say. Your silence has weight, and your presence has an impact, not because you're trying to be powerful, but because you've given up trying to be anything at all. This isn't about manipulation or control, but rather about real power, and it's about realizing that true power comes from being unapologetic. Most people will never get the secret, which is to always be yourself. When you understand you don't need it, you recognize that genuine power is gained rather than seized or demanded. Sixth, the growth surge understanding that by itself does not imply detachment. As you mature, you come to understand that true independence does not require you to cut yourself off from the outside world entirely. Instead, you start developing deeper, more meaningful relationships with like-minded individuals, creating a small, close-knit community of people who value your contributions and respect your personal space. The strongest connections are often formed by the most autonomous individuals for those with Sigma qualities, according to British psychiatrist and psychoanalyst John Bowlby. This stage reveals that your desire for distance does not exclude you from having deep connections with others. Rather, it just means that you connect in a different way and begin drawing in those who value depth above surface-level conversation. Being a Sigma means that you naturally weed out superficial connections in favor of a small group of meaningful relationships based on mutual understanding. You've come to realize that being independent doesn't mean being alone. Rather, it means carefully selecting and nurturing your connections in your own way. Number 7 is the fulfillment of fully accepting yourself. At this point, you no longer feel the need to defend your decisions or define your personality type because you realize that being a Sigma is more than just a personality type. It's a way of life. Marcus Aurelius once said that the quality of your ideas determines how happy your life would be. For a Sigma, this is evidently true. Your mental state reaches its peak at this point. Your source of uncertainty is not Ali. Being a Sigma no longer seems difficult and instead feels like a blessing. Your profound thoughts, your desire for solitude, and your true nature, the exact qualities that formerly made you feel unique, now seem like superpowers. Not only are you coming to terms with who you are, but you are also finally realizing why you are the way you are. You can now finally be yourself without an explanation or apology because you realize that your path was never meant to look like everyone else's. If you found this video insightful, please subscribe for more Sigma content, like it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep moving forward and staying strong.